And welcome into the Coors Event Center. Buffs finish off a 3-game homestand that was absolutely vital for them with a 91-65 win over Washington. And, you know, they get a huge performances out of kind of the 3 guys that they need to play well. Xavier Johnson, career-high 27 points to go along with 10 rebounds. Skia Booker throws in a 20-point performance. Josh Scott throws in a 20-point performance. Really getting Josh Scott throwing up hand signs over here behind us celebrating his performance. But they really get those 3 big performances from those guys. You were actually most impressed with a different performance. Who was that?
Yeah, obviously, it's hard to knock the 3 20-point scores. I mean, the Buffs absolutely need that. It's the first time it's been done in 7 years. But the guy I look to, Jaron Hopkins, because there are a lot of people across the country, a lot of players, specifically a lot of freshmen, that when they're a starter and they're removed from the starting lineup because of their play, not because of matchups or injuries, but because of their play, they might wilt under that pressure. They might kind of succumb to the pity-me attitude of those circumstances. And Jaron Hopkins, tonight, I think, kind of found his groove again. You can look at the 10 rebounds and say that was a huge mark, especially since the Buffs were without Wesley Gordon. And that's mainly what Tad Boyle talked about in the postgame. But for Jaron, it was the thing he was looking for all year. And that's finally getting his fast break, poster dunk, midway through the second half. He weaves his way through the open court and finally goes up over number 23 of Washington, C.J. Wilcox, and gives him a face full of basketball, dunking all over him, a play you'll see on SportsCenter. And that mixed with his exceptional defense on Wilcox on the other end, I thought tonight Hopkins grew up as a kid, he grew up as a player, and those are the types of experiences that 2 years from now, when he's a more consistent player, you're going to be able to look back on nights like tonight and say, hey, I remember that game from Hopkins, and Hopkins will be able to look back and remember these experiences and how he fought through it.
Yeah, and Tad Boyle talked about his aggression, and you kind of saw an aggression from everyone on the court tonight. Josh Scott said, you know, they know they were a good team after they lost Spencer Dinwiddie still, but this was kind of the game he felt like they finally settled in, and this is them. So my question to you is, how do they take a performance like this and get that to translate on the road?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question for any team. You know, winning at home, obviously, especially in this building with the altitude, with the crowd that tonight was electric, you know, those kinds of things. How do you carry it over to the road? And there's no one way. You know, you have to find your consistency. You have to approach the road with the type of mentality that you love it when the other crowd, 10,000 people, is cheering against you. You have to embrace that energy that they're bringing and turn it back on them. Of course, it would also be nice for this team to get a nice turnout from Colorado alums in the SoCal area. But I look at the 2 Los Angeles natives on this team, Xavier Johnson and Skia Booker. These guys are going home. They're going to where it all began. They're going back to where they left to pursue other opportunities because those home schools didn't want them. Now is the time for them to step up their games like they did tonight. They need to perform the same way, come with the same mentality that they did, looking for good shots, picking their spots, being aggressive on both ends. If they can do that, when those 2 guys play well together, this team is a top 5, 6 Pac-12 team if they played without Dinwiddie for the whole year. So those are the 2 guys that they're obviously going to need to step up because, in my opinion, on this trip, I think you're going to see a consistent Josh Scott. UCLA and USC can't guard him. Nobody in this league can guard him. You'll see him show up. You need the 2 X factors of the LA guys to step up as well.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the Coors Event Center. Again, the Buffs throw a leash on the Huskies, 91-65.